As a gay liberal man.
Shh. They can come get me. I'm at a turning point event. Uh-oh.
Yep. Yeah. So what makes you not feel at home anymore in the Democratic Party in 2018?
Well, first let me just say what makes me feel at home here. I mean, I just met about 1,000 kids. My smiling muscles are starting to break because I've taken 1,000 selfies in a row. And it's like, man, if Turning Point and the conservatives and the rest of it are the home of the homophobes and the bigots, you guys are doing a really, really terrible job of it. You know, the left, unfortunately, has become about collectivism. I mean, I know you know this. It's like, if you view the world through collectivist ideas, that we should judge people based on their immutable characteristics, that if you see a gay person, you know what encompasses them as a human being. You know what they should think because they are gay, or you see a woman and know what a woman thinks because she is a woman, or a man because he is black, or whatever it is. You are exerting prejudice, because that means to prejudge. And every time you believe in the collective over the individual, well then, look what happens. We're in a room right now where Candace Owens is doing an interview at this very moment. So when they, on the left, when they say, well, we're for black people, they're not really for Candace. When they say they're for women, well, they're not for Nikki Haley or Sarah Huckabee Sanders. They're for minorities that behave the way they want them to. And I just refuse to bow forever. So I will always stand with people that are for the individual. And right now, on the center right, there is a much stronger belief in the individual, and there's just a greater tolerance. There's a true greater tolerance. You've got one side that screams about tolerance all the time, but never actually exerts it, and you have another side that doesn't talk about tolerance that much because they just sort of act that way. So it seems like they don't care about tolerance because they're not running around with flags that say tolerance on them all the time. So I'm thrilled to be here, and unfortunately, I can't get invited anywhere by anyone on the left, but that's all right.
Yeah. Well, speaking on that, so 10 years ago, if you were to say to a Democrat that they are, that they are socialists or that they endorse socialism, they would either laugh at you or accuse you of using an ad hominem or some kind of exaggeration.
Yeah.
So today, if you fast forward not that much further in the future, and you see that today a lot of people in the Democratic leadership and the Democratic Party are endorsing socialist ideas, or they're running as open socialists. Why do you think that the party has gotten so fringe in such a short period of time?
I mean, that's a long one, but look, do they go by Democratic Socialists or Socialist Democrats? It's Democratic it's Socialist Democrats.
Right now it's Democratic
right?
Socialists,
yeah,
but they always change it.
It's very confusing. It's very confusing. Look, the second they're really in power, they'll drop the Democratic part soon enough. I mean, all the energy of the left is with this new socialist monster. I mean, that's really the only way I can describe it. I think what's happened here is that the good liberals, of which there are many, by the way, and even here at a Turning Point event, there are a lot of people that consider themselves classical liberals that are open to ideas that, I suspect you and I probably disagree on a series of things, like death penalty maybe, or taxes, or abortion, or whatever it is. What's happening on the left right now is because they have defeated so many people using just tactics of shouting down people and deplatforming people and calling everyone a bigot and a racist and a homophobe and the rest of it, they know if you have a little flicker of life left in your brain, if there's a couple neurons firing in there and you're on the left right now, well, if you turn against them, you know what they'll do to you because you did it to other people. So you can see this very simply. So it's like when what's her name, Alyssa Milano, started talking about Linda Sarsour and the Women's March. Well, what comes next? Now Alyssa Milano is a white supremacist. And all of this other nonsense. And Deborah Messing started doing it too, and now she's a white supremacist. And it's like, you guys will just destroy yourselves because you're actually not for anything. I mean, this idea of intersectionality, that you're competing interests of supposed oppression, because they're not real oppression. If you live in America, you are not oppressed. You may not have it as equal as everybody else in terms of what you have, but you have equal opportunity to do whatever you want in your life. But they've created this pyramid of oppression Olympics that is in constant competition to be more oppressed. You should never be in competition to go that way. You should be in competition to go that way. So unfortunately, I don't think this thing is going to stop anytime soon. I think they're going to just purge the last remaining decent liberals from the party, and I think it's a terrible thing for the country. Even if you're a steadfast Republican or conservative, you should want a functional Democratic Party. We need a push and a pull so you can have a decent battle of ideas. You don't want the parties going off the fringe. And that's also why when they're ranting and raving and, calling Trump Hitler and calling all conservatives Nazis, it's like, you guys won't even know when the bad guys come because you will have cried wolf to the point that no one's going to listen to you when the real bad guys come. So we got a lot of work to do.
So it's been recently reported that Patreon has jumped on the bandwagon of big tech companies banning people for what seems to be political reasons. Is it true that you and Dr. Jordan Peterson might have a solution to that problem?
So I can't answer all of that. Suffice to say, we are working on something, and there's many people working on something, and the incredible outpouring of people that want to work for us. I mean, I'm talking about engineers at Google and Facebook and all sorts of things. People want to solve this problem. People don't want these tech companies to be all powerful. They don't want the tech companies to decide who can speak and who can't speak, but not only speak. In the case of Patreon, it's who can make a living. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think about Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad. I happen to basically like the guy, but he's a bit of a troll. He's admittedly a bit of a troll. He uses some of their language against them, all of those things. But that's not what this is about. What this is about is this line is never going to stop moving. You know, it's one thing you can take out all the people, let's say on the far right. Now, they never take out the people on the far left, but you take out all the people on the far right, whatever that means to you, the white supremacists or whatever. But they're never going to stop, and they're going to keep moving line and keep moving line. And I think what happened here is that enough people saw this one as such a move. Like the line was here, and then they moved it to here. As opposed to just an incremental move, that enough of us are going to stand up against this one. And I think this is one we can win. And my hope is that we will figure it out. So I can't answer it much more than that at the moment, but the cavalry's coming.